Hi, welcome to the session. We are going to learn more about list rendering in Vue.js. Vue provides a directive called v4 to loop through an array or object and render the element reactively. Let's learn more about this directive and its usage. Loop through array. Vue uses special syntax for v4 directive to loop through an array and access each array element. Let's check how to do that. Create data called colors and set an array of colors. Create an unordered list with a list item. Loop through colors and bind the color. Run it on the browser. Yes, the colors list is rendered. Vue accepts an optional second argument for the index of the current item. Let's check it. Add index as the second argument. Bind the index. Run it on the browser. Yes, the index is rendered. We can also use off instead in as the delimiter. Let's try it. Update the delimiter into off. Run it on the browser. Yes, working. Loop through object. We can use the v4 directive to iterate through the properties of an object. Let's try it. Create data called user with name, age and location properties. Create an unordered list with the list item. Loop through the user object and bind the value. Yes, the value is rendered in a list. Vue accepts an optional second argument for the keys of the current property and a third argument for index. Let's check it. Add key as the second argument and bind it. Run it on the browser. Yes, the key rendered. Let's add index as the third argument and bind it. Yes, the index is rendered. Please note, when iterating through an object, the consistency in order cannot be guaranteed across JavaScript engines. Maintaining state. Vue using an in-place patch strategy when updating list elements. When the order change, Vue will patch the elements instead of moving. So Vue is recommending to bind a unique key attribute for list elements for node identification and better performance. Please make sure to use string and numbers for key attributes value. Let's check how to do that. Create data called messages with a collection of objects with ID and body properties. Create an unordered list with a list item. Loop through messages and bind the message body. Run it on the browser. Yes, message body is rendered in a list. Let's bind the key attributes to improve node identification. Bind message ID to key attribute with vbind directive shorthand. Yes, everything is fine. Array change detection. Vue wraps a bunch of observable methods for array mutation to trigger changes. Those are push, pop, shift, unshift, splice, sort, and reverse. Let's try those methods to mutate array. Create data called colors with an array of colors. Create an ordered list with a list item. Loop through colors and bind the color. Run it on the browser. Yes, the colors rendered in a list. Let's run some array mutation method. Push orange to colors. Yes, the color orange added to the list. Remove the last item from colors. Yes, working. Remove the first item. Add yellow to the top of the array. Remove one item from the first index. Add red to first index without removing any item. Replace the first index with green. Sort the array items. Reverse it. Yes, all those array mutation methods are perfectly working. When we using non-mutating methods such as filter, concat and slice, we will have to replace the array with the new value. Because those methods don't replace the original array, it just returns a new array. Let's check how to use those methods. Filter the colors start with B. You can see the returning result is filtered, but the original data not updating. To tackle that, we can assign the non-mutating method's result to original data. Let's do it. Store the filtered result to colors. Yes, the filtered result is reflected in the list. Let's try the array concat method. Create a new array called primary colors. Concatenate primary colors to colors and store the result to colors. Yes, the list is updated. Slice is another non-mutation method. Let's try it. Slice the array from index 2 and store the result to colors. Yes, the list is updated. Vue implemented some smart heuristic to maximize the element reuse. So we don't have to worry about efficiency when replacing an array with another that containing overlapping items. Array change detection caveats. Due to some JavaScript limitations, Vue cannot detect some changes. One is updating an array element with its index and another is set array length. To tackle that, we can use the instance method set an array splice method. Let's check it. Create colors data and render it in an ordered list. Try to replace red with yellow by its index. The list is not updated. Let's check colors. Here you can see the red is replaced with yellow, but the change is not reflected in the reactive system. We can use the global set property or array splice method to tackle that. Let's do it. Yes, now the red replaced with yellow. Let's try to update the array length. The colors data is updated, but the change is not reflected in the reactive system. We can use array splice here as well. Let's do it. Is it updated now? Object change detection caveats. We cannot add a new property to a reactive object using dot or square bracket notation. We need to use the global method set to do that. Let's check it. Create data called user with the name property. Create an unordered list with a list item. Loop through user and bind the value. Run it on the browser. Yes, the value rendered in a list. Let's try to add a new property age. The list is not updated. Check the user object. Here you can see the property age is added to the user object, but the change is not reflected in the reactive system. To tackle that, we can use the global set method. Let's do it. Yes, the age property's value is reflected in the list. If you want to add a bunch of property to a reactive object, we can replace it with a freshly created object by cloning it. Create an object called user with location and is online property. Create a new object by cloning those two user objects and store the result to user. Yes, the location and is online properties values reflected on the list. Displaying filtered sorted results. We can use computed properties or methods to create filtered or sorted array results without mutating the original data. Let's check how to do that. Create data called cities with a collection of city objects with a name and has delivery properties. Create a computed property called deliverable cities and return the cities that have the delivery. Create another computed property called cities sorted and return the cities in descending order of name. Let's create a heading for cities. Create an unordered list with a list item. Loop through cities and bind the city name. Do the same for deliverable cities and cities sorted. Run it on the browser. Yes, those lists are rendered. The filtered and sorted results are displaying without mutating the original data. Let's try to do it with methods. Update computed to methods. Invoke deliverable cities and cities sorted. Yes, working. Loop on range. The v4 directive also accepts integers. So we can use it to repetitively render an element in particular times. Let's check it. Create an unordered list with a list item. Loop through an integer 10. Run it on the browser. Yes, the list item rendered 10 times. Loop on a block of code. We can use the templates element to loop on a block of elements. The template element will act as an invisible wrapper and so it will not be included in the rendered result. Let's check it. Create a user's collection with name and location properties. Create a template and loop through users. Bind the name in a heading and name and location in a paragraph. Run it on the browser. Yes, it's rendered. Let's check the rendered elements. Here you can see the template is not included in the final rendered results. It acting as an invisible wrapper to those code blocks. Using v4 and vif together and efficiency. Vue does not recommend to use v4 and vif directives together because the v4 directives has a high priority and so the vif directives will check the condition in each iteration. In this case, we can use computed property for filtering or add a wrapper element like template to the code block and use vif directive on it to conditionally skip execution of the loop. Let's check it. Create a collection of users with name and is online properties. Create an unordered list with a list item. Loop through users and bind username. Run it on the browser. Yes, the names rendered in a list. Let's list online users only using the VIF directive. Yes, now only listed online users. But in this implementation, the VIF directive will check the condition in each iteration. Because V4 has a higher priority, it will affect the efficiency. To tackle that, we can create a computed property called online users and return the filtered results of online users. Now we can remove the VIF directive and use online users instead users. Run it on the browser. Yes, working perfectly. Here you can see the V4 directive initiate the rendering even when there are no results in users. So we can set the block only have to render when there has data in users. In the else case, we can set a paragraph for no results. Run it and check by setting users data to empty. Is it more efficient and working perfectly as we expected? Loop on component. We can use V4 directive on components. Let's do it. Create a component with tag name as list item. Use the component and loop through an integer 5. Run it on the browser. Yes, the list item component rendered 5 times. Components have isolated scopes of their own. So when we want to loop through an array and render a component using the data, we will have to pass the array as props to that component. Let's check it. Add a property called city and bind the city to the template. Create cities array. Loop through cities and bind the city to city attribute using vbind shorthand. Run it. Yes, the city list is rendered. Thanks for watching this session. We hope this session is helpful for you to understand more about list rendering in Vue. Please like this video, share with your friends and colleagues, and subscribe to our channel for more tutorials. Please click on the bell icon for new videos notification. Let us know your queries via comment. We are happy to answer. Please support us on Patreon. Find the link from the description. We will appreciate that. See you in the next session.